I think I did it, Dave.
Oh,
Dave, I pressed the button for the music
pretty
to stop,
loud.
but it's not stopping, Dave.
Just stop again.
It's not stopping. The music. Ow.
It might be lagged. You gotta stop it and then wait.
This is why somebody needs to be at a computer at all times. Why'd you pick such a long ass song? Oh! Haha, we got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
You
our song. That was
figured it
the
out,
new
dude.
remix. The new reboot version.
Just a 9-minute intro.
Right. Well, welcome everybody to the Dapper Baboon Show. We are your two Dapper Baboon hosts, Bo Henry and David Casel. And we're here tonight on the late night, playing you the quiet grooves, the quiet storm, if you will. Welcome to the show, Dave. Man, Dave, how are you?
Oh, man. I am just letting my head bob above water.
Letting your head bob on the water?
Well, you know how like when you're about to drown and your face is just poking out and the water's kind of splashing up, but you're just staying up above it, just mostly.
Yeah, I guess so. So like treading water, like dog paddling.
Right, like I have plenty of energy to keep my face up above it. It's just that's where I'm at.
What if you were like in quicksand? Is it more like being in quicksand? Have you ever experienced quicksand?
Through video. I've vicariously been in quicksand watching different movies and television shows, cartoons and shit.
I've never seen quicksand.
Is it real?
I don't think quicksand really is a thing. And if it is a thing, I don't think it's like what we see in the movies. You know what I mean? Because like wouldn't
right.
it like
probably don't
if sand really like drained like that, wouldn't it just like drain down into a hole and then like get more compact? What is quicksand anyways? Is it just like watery sand or something like you get in it and like, you know, that's the thing?
I believe, let's see, we could do a short Google. Real quicksand is certainly hard to get out of, but it doesn't suck people under the way it always seems to in the movies. According to a study published in the current issue of the journal Natural, it is impossible for a person immersed in quicksand to be drawn completely under. The fact is, humans float in the stuff.
So there you have it, folks. All these years you were worried about quicksand. It's impossible to actually drown in quicksand. You will float in quicksand.
I think it's just watery sand.
So, like, all those times I died on Super Mario Brothers 2 from the quicksand, it was a lie.
And well, I mean, Mario's pretty short. I mean, I guess it would depend, maybe. I don't know, in the depth of the sand that's quick.
But he wasn't short at the time. I'd eaten a mushroom.
So, yes. I mean, well, when he hits quicksand, he shrinks, right?
No. I think it's just like an instant death thing. Like, it doesn't matter. You could have, like, well, Super Mario Brothers 2, you don't have flower power. You just get big or you get small. Yeah, there's no flowers in Super Mario Brothers 2. Super Mario Brothers 2 by far is the best Super Mario Brothers game, though.
I have a Mario story. I had a Super Nintendo, and I can't remember which one we were playing, but my grandfather and I were getting, through almost all the game. We had almost beaten it, and he had told me before he went to work, he was like, do not press this button here because it resets everything. And me being me, I was like, does it really? And I hit the button anyway, and it reset everything. And he was very upset because we had spent quite a bit of time making it to the place that we were.
So your grandpa played video games with you?
He did. He played Mario with me.
I don't think my grandpa ever even played an Atari.
Your grandpa sounds boring as fuck.
Yeah, no, my grandpa was a raging alcoholic, or at least one of them. Actually, I think both of them were raging alcoholics.
My grandfather was.
I don't think either of my grandparents were very good people. To be honest with you.
My grandfather worked very, very hard. He worked, 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week as a sheet metal worker.
I think my grandfather on my dad's side liked to go fox hunting. There's a lot of stories about him going fox hunting, and by fox hunting, I mean going out with the guys and getting passed out drunk while they pretended to hunt for foxes.
So I feel like fox hunting would be going out looking for bitches.
That could have been the case. I mean, that could have been code word for going out looking for some bitches.
You think your grandfather pulled bitches?
He might have pulled all the bitches. I don't know.
I don't think we're allowed to say bitches anymore.
We're not allowed to say bitches anymore?
I think that means we're sexist or whatever.
It means probably. But we are.
But I don't mean it in a derogatory way. Like bitches. Bitches to me is really, really awesome.
We don't mean to sound. Yeah, we don't mean to sound sexist, crude, and rude, but we are. So that's how we come off.
Yeah, but I wish that you could add something to it to make it to where it wasn't insulting, like bitches, or, just an inflection to where it would, you could tell that it was a positive thing.
How's that a positive thing? My grandfather was supposedly happily married for 30, 40 years or whatever. If he was pulling bitches, and that'd be sad. That means he was a cheating bastard. Yeah.
I mean, unless secretly you didn't know and they were that was a thing, they were into it. She was like, go to the bar and pull us a bitch home, honey, and then we'll take her home and we'll dual fuck her.
Could have been. I think my grandfather came from a very incestuous home.
Whoa, that's a bummer.
Yeah. I think there was a lot of kids and a lot of diddling of each other going on as kids. That's what
you mean
the rumors
the brothers
go.
And sisters?
Yeah.
So and the parents didn't know about it, or they were into it? Yeah, fuck each other.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, see, that's the thing. My grandparents have been dead and gone for quite some time, and they were quite older. And my parents are quite older, so my grandparents are were born in the early 1900s and shit. So that's what I'm saying. When they talk about. I mean, when they talk about how bad and horrible child molestation is. I think like it was like really bad, like when there wasn't like media coverage and stuff like that. You know, like back in the day, it'd be like the family secret, and people didn't want the word to get out. And there's all these,
there was like a little boy in a paper hat that was like, extra, extra, read all about it. The Williamsons are all fucking each other.
Right. So like, yeah, there was a bunch of pedophile rings back then, but they were like, around in the farm.
God, that'd be weird.
Man, it's horrible. Yeah, people are fucked up. They do fucked up shit.
They do. People are fucked up. This whole world seems fucked up and weird. It's not getting any better.
Think of. Could you possibly think of like what is all the possible fucked up things every single one of your ancestors has ever done? I bet you like every fucked up thing that you could possibly ever do or think of, somebody who's your ancestor has done it.
I actually don't have any ancestors.
And then the question is, I mean, I don't know, through cellular resonance or whatever, like how much of that fucked upness is fucking passed down to you?
I was actually the first of my lineage. I was immaculately conceived, and I'm the first one, so don't have to worry about that.
You were conceived by God?
Yes, I was immaculately conceived in a womb one day.
Are you sure you're immaculately conceived, or was your mom just sleeping around with like dozens of men so you don't know who your father is?
No, my mother just woke up one morning and she was pregnant, had never had sex before.
Yeah. I think that's, and it's funny because I grew up like, Christian leaning and stuff, but like, wonder how that was, like, oh, hey, yeah, well, God got me pregnant. And then it's like, like somebody who really stuck to that lie for forever. And then this kid thinks that he was conceived by God and then grows up and now we got a
look it up.
It
was February of 1984 or 1985, and it was in the newspapers and everything. They did tests, and she, there was no vaginal trauma. There was no semen found, no anything. She was just pregnant.
Are you still on the whole your mom was pregnant immaculately after I moved on to make a reference to Jesus?
Yeah, because it's true.
Yeah,
Don't be jealous that you had to have regular, dirty, nasty sex to be born, you freak.
Hey, look, I was born from vaginal intercourse. I came from the vas deferens of a man named George. Okay. He plunged his uncircumcised member into my mother, and she screamed, but not in pleasure, and I was born on the day of July 30th. I dropped into this world a bloody mass. I dropped into a pan of blood and poop. And I wallowed there for a while. A pan of blood and feces. And I wallowed there for a while because the doctors tried to grab me and I kept slipping out like a water willy.
What's a water willy?
Into the pan. You don't remember what a water willy is?
I don't.
It's like those little tubes that like they're like a little rubber tube, and they went in on themselves, and it was like had water in it, and if you tried to grab it, it'd like slip out of your hand.
No, never came across one of those.
How do you not? Okay, first of all, fuck your childhood. How do you not know what a water willy is? You didn't know what a grow beast was. You didn't know what the frickin' octopus thing that you throw on the wall and it crawls down? I don't even
because
think
my
you
parents
remember
loved me.
the hand thing that you slapped you in the nuts.
My parents loved me, and they didn't want me to play with stupid toys.
No. I think that you said your parents loved you. I thought, wait a second, I thought you said that you only had one parent. So you played yourself full.
I mean, I've
rent.
never met my father or heard of him or anything. I don't even know if he's a real dude. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Never even heard of him.
Do you have your father's last name or your mother's last name?
My mother's.
You do? And you don't know, you never heard of your dad, you never talked about him, said anything to you about it? So, like, he's just like some dude just randomly hit it and said, I'm out.
Thought we've been over this. It was Christ Almighty.
It was Christ Almighty. So just like some random crackhead came over and said, I'm Christ Almighty. And then he came and your mom said, hallelujah. And then he left.
No, she was just laying there, and all of a sudden she was like, oh, what happened? And then over the course of 9 months, I grew, and I was born.
Yeah, I believe you. Where
really
do we start a religion on this?
Well, I mean, and even if you check my, I don't have a blood type.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've tested it several dozen times, even as I've gotten older. It just comes back unidentified.
Because you don't have a blood type?
It's just
do you have
blood.
canines? Do you have
I
canine
do not.
teeth?
My teeth are all flat.
Mm-hmm. So
I was born
what was
where
it your mother did to? What was it your mother did to find favor to get the God cock?
I think it's because she was just really, really homely, and it was more out of
God
a pity
had pity
thing.
on her.
Yeah, he was like, here.
So like God had pity on her. She was so ugly and homely, she couldn't get none. So he was like, here you go.
And the thing is, she got more attractive while she was pregnant with me. My DNA changed her face and body type.
I'm sure.
She grew like a foot. She lost like 80 pounds while she was pregnant with me. Her eyes turned green.
So how did your grandparents take all this?
They never claimed me.
They didn't.
Yeah. My mom's mom got pregnant at 16, and back then it was very faux pas. So this other dude married her, and she never met her father either.
So it's just a string of immaculate conceptions.
Well, no, my grandma was quite promiscuous, so it was a dude.
Mm-hmm.
But the dude vanished. So
did you have a good relationship with your grandma?
I didn't. I did not at all. My grandmother was not a very nice woman.
Well, you gotta love your grandma. It doesn't matter.
I don't know if you have to, but my grandmother and I never really meshed well. My grandfather worked hard to take care of her and I, and he's not blood related to me, but he always took care of me since I was a baby, because my mom had me when she was very young, and she wasn't ready, and she couldn't afford daycare, and she couldn't do a lot of things, so she gave me to my grandparents when I was born, and they raised me.
Did you think they were your parents for a while?
No, I knew. My mom was around. My mom was around until I was like a couple years old, and then she moved to Florida.
So she just up and bounced. She was like, I'm moving to Florida.
Like, good luck, little homie. Yeah, but I mean, I had a really good grandfather, so that was helpful.
Mm-hmm.
He was good to me, and then as I got older, she didn't do much. She was addicted to muscle relaxers, and she was a pharmacist. So she had an unlimited supply, and would just like fall asleep, and I would have to just be alone until my grandfather would get home from work, and then he would have to get me food and make sure I bathed and things like that. After
he had
he
to make
just
sure
worked
you
14
bathed.
hours. Well, I mean, no, she wasn't like cognizant. She wasn't there. She was like off in La La Land.
So here's a funny story kind of like this, and I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast, but so similar thing happened to my family with my uncle. His daughter had a son, and she was really young. And the grandparents raised him and told him that they were his son. And so he grew up thinking that his real mother was his sister his whole life. And I still to this day don't know if he knows. I mean, I think they told him, but I'm not for sure.
Why wouldn't somebody else tell him? I think it would get around eventually, right?
I mean, I don't know how many people know. Like, I think the only reason I know is because they lived in Louisiana, and it's it's my dad's brother. So, I mean, of course he knows.
Yeah, it's very strange. Yeah, and then on top of that, my grandmother, out of this man who worked his whole ass off to support and take care of us, she was cheating on him for 13 years. And I'm actually the one who caught her. And I ratted her out to my grandfather. I found the letter, and it was like talking about when my grandfather was leaving for work and what time he should be there and shit like that. So I gave it to my grandfather, and he was a pretty good man. I mean, so he left for work, then he waited like a couple houses, or like he like hid, and the guy came and pulled up to the house, and he had a Polaroid camera, and he took pictures of his car and his van in front of our house. And then he put the pictures underneath the wiper blades of the guy's van. And because the guy was married to a deaf woman. And yeah, so
I thought that was funny.
But my grandfather never.
To a deaf woman.
Yeah, so my grandfather wrote like payback time on the Polaroid and stuck it under the wiper blade. But my grandfather never ratted him out. He just wanted to scare him and make him think he would.
Mm-hmm. So your grandmother cheated on your grandfather for 13 years
mm-hmm.
with another man who was married to a deaf woman.
Yes.
See, I find that so crazy just because when I think of my grandparents were like super old and stuff, and like my grandmothers were considered like the salt of the earth. But your grandma was just straight fucking sucking dirty death cock all the time.
Well, yeah, I mean, she would drink alcohol, and I remember her sometimes she would just shuffle out into the living room all trashed on muscle relaxers and vodka, and not know who she was or where she was at or anything like that.
And this would be like late 80s, early 90s?
Yeah, early 90s, I think, mid 90s maybe.
And how old was your grandmother around that time?
Maybe like 40.
Maybe like 40. See, so when I was, in the 90s, okay, so when I was in my teens, like my grandparents were like well in their like 70s and 80s. Actually, yeah, probably in their 80s, because, like, my grandma died when she was 90, and she died shortly after, a few years after I graduated high school in 98. So your grandma is 40 years old, just getting down.
Yep, just out there fucking.
She's out there being a dirty bitch.
Yeah, so one time, and I heard she said the reason. It feels weird to
call somebody's grandma a dirty bitch. I feel like I got to pray.
Well, so the reason that was later on in life, my grandmother was like hanging out with my aunts and her daughters, and I heard him talking about like why and things like that, and I got involved in the conversation, and they were saying his dick didn't work. They're like, it wouldn't get hard, and I was like, well, that's not a reason to cheat on somebody. Like, if that were happening, as his wife, you should have figured out what to do, whether it be Viagra or, testosterone pills. Like, you guys should have worked on it together to figure out a solution and figure it out, because, it's important. It's not, you don't just go fuck somebody else and lie and let this man support us and take care of us and all this other shit. And, I told my grandfather about it. I was like,
they supporting you. Especially supporting you, and you wasn't even like his biological kid in any way, shape, or form, right?
Right, and he just loved me anyway, and that was like the whole thing. Later on in life, they were like, the only thing, he was like, because she wouldn't divorce him either, so he was like, look, all I want is David, and I'll give you all my retirement, and you can fucking just bounce. So she was like, all right, so signed over custody to me and took his whole retirement and left. And then it was just my peeps and I. And we just, hung out and did cool shit.
But see, here's the thing. But why did he do that, though? I don't think he would have needed to do that. Like, he could have just,
she wanted the money.
Well, I mean, he could have just given her some of the money.
She wanted all of it, or she wouldn't divorce him.
But you don't have to agree to divorce. It
was like a thing. Like I said, the main thing was he didn't want me going with her. He didn't. He was like, no fucking way, bitch. You're not getting David. Period. So that was like the whole thing.
So your grandpa, who worked his ass off 14 hours a day, because he didn't really have any legal right to you whatsoever. Did he adopt you at all or anything?
I don't know exactly the court. I was very young. I mean, like 9 or 10 or something maybe when they got a divorce. But the stipulations in the divorce.
Legal right. He didn't really have any legal right to you or anything because you wasn't biologically, like your mother wasn't biologically his daughter.
Well, they got custody of me when I was just a baby, and they were married. So technically, he could keep custody of me. So that was the thing that
okay,
that's
so
what he wanted.
He had custody of you as a baby, but he just loved you as a grandson. And so he worked his whole life. Your grandmother was a cheating whore and cheated on your grandfather for 13 years, and drug addict, alcoholic. And so because she wouldn't give him a divorce, he told her that if she signed over custody of you to him, she could have all of his retirement.
Yep.
Fuck, you better make something of yourself, you fucker.
I've been trying to, dude.
Somebody fucking cared about you.
Yeah, and he got a decent amount of it back. I mean, he kept working because he was probably, 44, 45, maybe 40-something when that happened. I mean, he worked another 40, 50, so 60, almost,
so he got,
another, 15
he got a divorce
years.
Shortly. He got a divorce shortly after he found her cheating then.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
It wasn't long, like I said, so it had to have been 95. It was maybe 10, 9, 94.
So did you later on in life ever, did you ever, make up with your grandma or anything like that? Did you guys, is she still around, or?
I mean, I haven't spoken to her in a good decade or so. I mean, maybe more than that. Like I said, after that conversation where I heard them talking about his dick not working and them laughing and shit, I went out there and I screamed in her face, like spit flecking out of my mouth, like, you are a fucking scumbag piece of shit. Fuck you for saying that about him. Like, I don't give a fuck what you think. That is not how a woman treats her husband. Fuck you, bitch. Like, I was so pissed. And she started crying and all that shit. And everybody's like, David, why would you do that? Why would you do that? That's your grandmother. And I was just like, she didn't do fucking shit my whole life. She sat there and fucking cheated on that man who took care of us. Who gives a fuck if his dick didn't work? Fuck you. Like, I was shitty about it. And ever since then, I really haven't spoken to her.
Well, so, I mean, so she cheated on him because his dick didn't work. And, like, you're like,
allegedly.
Well, that was...
My grandfather
allegedly.
said, well, so my grandfather, I told him about it, and he was like, no, it worked. He was like, the times that she wanted to have sex or any time, he's like, I had just gotten off of work fucking 16 hours, and I would be laying down in bed. And he said she would come up off the couch at fucking 2:30 in the morning, and then she would come in and try to fucking, stinking and fucking smelling like alcohol and drunk. He's like, I was not attracted to her anymore. She was fucking disgusting and awful to me. Like, I didn't want to have sex with her.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yeah.
He said she would just get on top of him, just ride him, and he would just fucking lay there, wait till she was done. Just couldn't fucking... He had to be up again in 5 fucking hours, go work again for 16 hours. So he was just like, go ahead, bitch. Do your thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's kind of a sad story.
Not the greatest
I thought it was going to be a
no.
funny story, but now it's all sad.
Yeah, pretty sad. But, I mean, he was still a good man. He still never, like I said, he just gave her all the money. He was like, here, fine, go fuck yourself. That's what you want. That's what you want. All I want is David. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Here's the money. Bye. She took it and ran.
Well, let me see something. I'm going to check to see. Because I'm on the phone and I'm not in front of the computer, it's kind of hard to pay attention if there's fucking callers. Hey, we actually do have a caller. We have a caller, okay, from the 605 area code. You're live on the Dapper Baboon Show. What's your name? What do you got to talk about?
It's about fucking time you fucking took a look at the switchboard.
Well, yeah,
Dave,
I'm not. My
props.
computer's down.
Yeah, all right. Okay, cool. I mean, you did take a look. So, Dave, I got to give you props. You told your grandmother off. She wasn't exactly a good mother or a good grandmother. She got what she deserved. And it's not surprising to me to hear the other family members go, but she's your grandmother. It doesn't matter. It all matters to how you treat your either your blood or your friends. I've got family members I would trade in a minute for friends of mine who are no blood. So this attitude about blood is thicker than wine, blood is thicker than wine, water, I don't believe in it. It's how you are treated. And for your grandfather to give up his pension, to give it to your grandmother for a boy that's adopted, that shows love. So
right.
I'm all with you on that.
Yeah, like I said, he is to this day. I mean, he has been 100% my father and never given up on me in anything that any type. Like I bought a washer and dryer and I tried to get the cheap way, and it ended up, the washer started leaking. It was all fucked up and all this other shit. So I was just gonna go buy another one. And I was telling him the story. He just ordered one from Lowe's and had it delivered to my house. He was like, "Hey, why don't you be home Wednesday about 5 o'clock? Got your washer and dryer coming." I was like, "Are you kidding me?" He was like, "No, go ahead." I mean, he just,
Yeah. I mean, that's family. Those are family and friends. Those are very precious people in a person's life. And your story isn't, I guess it's kind of like unusual, but I would suppose as a percentage of kids who have undergone that kind of environment. But I would think that as an absolute number, it probably isn't that that far off the mark for a lot of kids who have been born to families who, even though, they have a mother and a father, the mother is not that nurturing, or the father is not that nurturing either. There's a lot of families in America that aren't exactly the healthiest. So for you to have that grandfather and father figure to love you the way that he does, I think that's terrific.
I agree. Everything I've ever done in my life has been to try to show him respect for, all the fucking time and everything he's given me. I've done it all for him. So hopefully I can repay all the.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that people don't know, people really don't know how to really engage in relationships or really have healthy, long-lasting marriages. But what parents don't really know is that if they treat their kids, now this doesn't have anything, it has some sort of bearing with you, but for the most part, if parents know how to treat their children from the time that they are born, show them love and respect and appreciation just for being born, not because they got good grades or they made a name for themselves on their school teams or anything like that, but just because they're a member of the household. You will never have better friends in your life than your children that you have treated like gold. Well, gold, and also showed them discipline, discipline as well. You can't just show love to children because they grow up to be animals. But if you show them discipline and love, there's nothing that kids, when they grow up, won't do for their parents. I don't know how do you feel about that?
Same thing. He would like, that's the thing that he did. He told me there's two things that you need in life: a job and a way to get there. So as long as I had a job or something like that, he would make sure I had a car, that I had my shit. If anything happened that would get involved, like if I did something stupid, he bought me a real fast car for my first car. Like I had a 5.0 Mustang. It was cherry red. He worked on it and got it all fancy and rims and, so I would get speeding tickets and do dumb shit and lose my license, and he would pay for all of it because he's like, you can't not have a fucking license. You got to get to work. So, it would just be something to where eventually he's like, we got less. He's like, if you keep fucking around and doing dumb shit, we don't have money to do fun things. We got to spend it on this fucking license shit and do dumb shit like this. He's like, you just get your shit together and walk in line with the rest of us, we can have more fun. So, eventually I was like, you know what? You're right.
Hey, guys, we actually have another caller. I'm going to bring the next caller in. We got a caller from the... Wait a second. Shit. We just lost it.
What happened, Bo?
Damn it, Dave. You talked for too long.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what? I'm surprised that you guys don't have more callers. And one of the reasons is because it's not because you don't have a good show. You do. But Thursday nights, you have a lot of competition. There are a lot of other good shows on at the same time. So I'm glad that you guys don't have as many callers because I can call in.
Yeah, is there did you see the area code? I was just curious where it was at. Was it?
I think it was the 843 area code. It didn't look familiar. If you're calling and you're listening from the 843, we're ready for you. You can be live on the Dapper Baboon Show. You can go live.
So,
boy,
did you have a good upbringing? Did you have a solid household and family, Joe?
Me, not especially. Both of my parents were narcissists. My father was a very handsome guy. My mother was a very sexy woman, and they had ego clashes. So they weren't bad parents, but they weren't good parents. They weren't exactly effusive with love, okay? Because they were mainly into themselves. My father was can I say narcissist? Because narcissist really has a bad connotation. He was the kind of person that he wasn't, how can I best say it? He was very moral. He never lied, even if it made him look like a dumbass. But he wasn't the kind of person who would think about giving you the shirt off his back. You know? He was egocentric without being, he never imposed himself on you. He never, like I said, he was very moral. But there are people who are generous. It just never occurred to him to be a generous person. And my mother was even worse. So it was living in a household where there were 3 people living there, but I wouldn't call it a Leave It to Beaver or a 1950s sitcom type of household. It was mainly
so
just
Joe, you were an only child?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Until my father got divorced, and then he started spreading his seed around, and I got half brother and a half sister.
Nice. Well, I don't think, it's weird too, because similar type of thing. I mean, like, I have 3 kids and they're all adopted, and I consider them my kids, but now I get to see them once a week in family counseling sessions. So they act like they'd rather do anything in the world than go to those counseling sessions.
Well, yeah, but what kid wants to go to counseling? Is this court-ordered counseling?
It's court-ordered counseling.
Who's talking? Is that
it's basically...
Is that Dapper Baboon who has that? You have that? You have that?
Yeah. Basically, my perspective is that the mother has engaged in an extreme amount of parental alienation on my part, and so I've been fighting to see my kids for 2 years. And so finally, when they did, the court suspects parental alienation, but they also can't deny the fact that I haven't seen my kids. And so we start doing counseling, and it's my belief and stuff when we go in there that the kids have been coached to basically act like they don't want to be there, they don't want anything to do with me, blah, 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 blah. Because I never did anything. I never did anything to my kids that was horrible or anything, it was like the only thing that anybody could say was that, they got whippings every once in a while, maybe in 10 years, maybe 10 times, So, yeah, it's a frustrating situation.
The situation with you is not unusual. Your ex-wife is very resentful. Even if I don't know if she initiated the divorce, but she's resentful that the marriage which she wanted to, be maintained for the fairy tale eternity didn't work out. She's got the 3 kids in her custody, and she's going to use them against you because she resents you for not giving her the life that she wanted irrationally for you to give her. Every American chick is imbued with romantic fantasies that stays in their subconscious until they die. And what they want is a particular man to be like a Disney figure. And when that man doesn't live up to those, to that pedestal that she wants to put him on, then she resents him as opposed to, learning about how her subconscious was formed, how she got these romantic ideas, and why there's a 53% divorce rate for first-term marriages. And even if they get married again, the people who got divorced the first time, there's something like a 60% divorce rate the second time. We don't know how to maintain relationships in America.
Well, no, I don't think so. And I think part of it is, it is just I don't know, we're all raised with very individualistic concepts. And and the system's designed for you to be able to maintain, individually, and the system's set up for you to be able to. Because my wife, when she left, she got Section 8 housing, she got welfare, she got child support and everything, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, like, she was able to maintain. Now, it wasn't on a level of, like, a way that I would want to live, but, you know, she's got the state basically paying for her and all that type of stuff. So, I mean, the system is set up that if you want to make it and go it on your own, you can. And I think you know, in our parents and our grandparents' generations and stuff, or at least mine, you know, that was a little bit more of a difficult road to go down.
Well, I think that probably back when the West was being won, and then, you know, countries such as America during that time, when men and women had to work together to toil the fields, I think that might have been the time when men and women were probably together more emotionally because they did the same work together and they realized just how backbreaking the work was. And I think they appreciated each other's efforts in doing the work in order to maintain the family. Theoretically, nowadays, since we have so much free time, you would think that men and women would be able to get together and be able to foster and generate great levels of intimacy. But in an environment like the United States, where women are taught from the time they're in kindergarten that they're princesses, and that if they grow up to be especially good-looking, that the world owes them, not just that the world is their oyster, but men owe them. As a matter of fact, there's a YouTube video of a young woman, in her 20s, who says that she believes women should be worshipped by men. It's this sense of entitlement that ruins the relationships between men and women. If a man finds himself a good woman, quote unquote good woman, a woman who is kind, generous, responsible, he considers himself lucky. If a woman finds the same type of guy, a responsible, reliable guy, nice, she considers him boring. So the two different attitudes like that don't mesh.
Yeah, and I mean there is a thing to be said. I mean that's not a desirable trait for most women, I don't think. I mean there's a fine balance, right? I mean there's a fine balance in being the you know, sweet, loving, caring person, and then the balance in being the I'm the man and I'm going to bend you over and fuck you raw type of person. So I mean, if you can find a good balance in there, then that's good, and you should go for that. But I mean, like, there's a lot of men out there who are, you know, and you see them complain online and stuff, and it's like you just want to take them and shake them, and it's like, why are you? Why are you? The problem is that they're putting women on this pedestal to where it's like some unattainable thing, and like, oh, why don't women want to be with me? I'm such a nice guy, blah 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 blah, and all this type of stuff. They only go for assholes and stuff like that. And it's like, dude, you make yourself look like such a bitch when you post that. It's like, it's not even like that. It's like you just don't understand. You obviously don't understand women at all. Is really what you look like when you say that. Is that, you know, it's just that, like, and it's almost a manipulation tactic and stuff. It's like, oh, you think that if you're nice to a woman that she should have sex with you or want to be with you. And it's like, that's not the case at all. Like, there's no romance involved in that. Like, okay, it's just like, oh, well, you're nice. You know? It's
well, that's the way
dumb.
men are taught. The way we're taught as a kid, when girls are taught by their parents, the boy should open the door for you. You go first. And the boys, they're taught, open the door, be nice, be entertaining, don't raise your voice in today's environment, listen to the woman, she has equal rights. So men are trained from the time that we're kids. But you got to, be a nice guy. And there's a balance that you have to walk between being the nice guy and being not the bad boy, but being the kind of man who you're going to assert your rights as a man, but yet not be accused of being a bully. So I can understand the confusion that young men have today.
I agree, but I think there's a good there's a good balance between you always, no matter who you are, whether you're a man, woman, or whatever, you got to be assertive in life, anyways. You can't be passive about the things that you want for yourself, and you can't make certain concessions about what you're going to do. Like the current relationship that I'm in, I know what that person wants, needs, and I try to meet those needs. And the same thing is, and she knows what I want and need, and the things that I'm trying to work for in life, and we work together in those shapes and forms, and I'm assertive about those things. Now there's a difference, and sometimes assertiveness can be mistaken for aggression, and that's where a lot of people who are passive have a hard time being assertive, because when they're real passive, they feel like being assertive is being aggressive, and that becomes a problem.
Right.
Because then that person is going to end up with somebody who's aggressive, and it's not going to mesh well. So and a lot of times people are trained that way too, like subtly over time, over years and years and years. When you're with an aggressive personality and stuff, you start to kind of shrink. And that's where you get the whole narcissism and narcissistic and empath, relationship dynamics has a lot to do with that.
If you're talking about how guys in particular may react over the years, let's say they've been in a dating game ever since they were 15 or 16, and for the next 10 years they're not assertive, and they keep meeting women who take advantage of them because they realize that they're passive, and the guys, they always think that women are sugar and spice and all things nice, and then after a while, they just may give up on the dating game, give up on women, and just turn around and become bastards themselves, So I think if that's what you mean, then I'm agreeing with you, because there are men who are conditioned to be gentlemen, but then when they find out that being a gentleman means being a doormat and they're not assertive, then I guess, they take the extreme road. So I'm guessing that's what happens, and that's what probably you're referring to.
Yeah. And I would say too, it's hard in those relationships when you're with an aggressive person and you are assertive, is because you will eventually get beat down to the fact that you start becoming passive. And that's where you get people who have, like, I don't know, I want to say it's like borderline PTSD. I know that I did in my last serious relationship, to where it was the person I was with was so aggressive about what she wanted to do, the way she thought things could be, to where it ended up getting to the point that over 10 years, a lot of that assertiveness goes away, to where it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm just not going to argue about this, because you're going to end up getting your way anyways, or else we're going to have a fucking World War III knockdown, drag out fight, and that's and that's problematic. And there's really what it boils down to is a disrespect for the teamwork that's required to keep a relationship going. It's basically it's a acknowledgement of, you think that everything that the other person brings to the table is unnecessary. So you might as well be single anyways, because you got it all figured out.
Well, yeah, that's based upon selfishness. Anybody who doesn't recognize, why would a person want to stay with a person if they find that other person attractive, interesting, funny, etc., and just continually be not assertive but be obnoxious? that's a person who doesn't want a relationship. That's a person who just wants to be a domineering either guy or domineering girl, just for the sake of being the dominating person in the relationship. And you can't have a relationship when you're having a person who's going to have that mindset, and the other person who believes, rightly or wrongly, that the domineering one either is right a lot of the times, or it's just not worth the effort to be assertive, to push back. And men, especially, have to learn, women are just human beings. They have the same fucked up mindsets that men do, and they have no more right to encroach and impose themselves on your values and on what you want than you do on them. And I had to learn that. Let me see, past my 20s, because I didn't want to have women who were, just in it just for the moment. Let's say just to have a dinner or a movie and move on, or somebody who wanted to be around in order to just impose themselves on me. I wanted a good balance. I think if two people are attracted to one another, if two people find each other interesting in the conversations, if they're good in bed, right, and if you can trust them, then you should take that relationship and run with it and don't fuck with it. But too many people keep fucking with their current relationships because their past relationships were bad. And they don't know how to be assertive enough, while at the same time letting the other person know, look, I care for you, but there are certain boundaries that I have, certain boundaries that you have, and in order for us to work, you've got to treat me with the respect and appreciation I deserve, and I'll definitely, treat you with the respect and appreciation you deserve. And if you can't follow those guidelines, for whatever the reason is, because of a bad relationship, or you're fatalistic and you think the relationships are always going to end, then I got news for you. You're not going to enjoy being with me, because I will let you know. Your attitude, I'll talk to you once. The next time, I'll make you feel like shit, and then that'll be the end. So either shape up or get the fuck out.
Yeah, I wonder, we haven't heard from Dave in a while. Dave, you got any chime in on this?
No, I'm just enjoying the conversation. Just kind of taking it in.
Were you jerking off?
No.
You was jerking off to the sound of Joe's voice, wasn't you?
No, I just was, I'm still kind of back and forth.
What do you think about the figure?
Go ahead. Sorry, I want to know what do I think about what?
The philosophy that we have, that a man that should be assertive enough shouldn't let the woman, just because she's a woman, be the more aggressive one, unless he likes it, and unless they both share in levels of appreciation.
Hello? Everything just went quiet.
Hello? Hey.
Can you hear me?
Dave. Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
What happened?
Just keep talking.
I can't hear Joe anymore.
Oh, no, maybe Joe dropped.
What happened? Why did he drop?
Yeah, no, he dropped off. But, yeah, still, he was able to ask a question. How do you feel, Dave? How do you feel about what we're speaking about?
I don't know. I've never really met a particularly good woman. Most of my interaction, starting with my mother and grandmother, and I've had very poor, terrible people in my life for a long time, and it's hard to ever trust somebody now, because It just seems like no matter what, whether you're aggressive or assertive or loving and caring and respectful or anything, they don't give a shit. Nobody gives a shit. So
how's that affect your perspective of women, considering that all of the female role models in your life have kind of not exactly been, I guess maybe this is putting it lightly, but not exactly been the most positive always. I mean, it seems like you have a decent relationship with your mom now.
No, I actually don't even speak to her at the moment. She's making a lot of poor, really awful decisions that I can't be a part of, and let her do her thing.
Oh, I guess it's
people
been
do
a while,
their
but
own thing.
she called in podcast once, so I figured you guys were cool.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know, man. I love them a lot. I wish I could know someone that was good and honest and sweet and caring and gave a shit, but I don't know.
So why are you seem so down as if you've never met any woman who was good, honest, and gave a shit?
No, never once. Not really. I've been a little bit of both. I feel like I have a good balance of that shit. I try to, you know what I mean? I have been the bad boy. I was a bad boy for a long time, and I was with the bad girls, and they liked it, but it wasn't anything substantial or that mattered. And then, I've been a really good, active, great man who was very supportive and sweet and nice and did everything that I could, and still, same ending, regardless of the attitude that I went in with it or maintained during it or anything like that. I don't know. It's never been awesome, and I want it to be.
So have you ever had anybody who, like, let's say you were like, hey, I'm doing my thing, and this is what I'm doing, and this is what I'm passionate in, and I'm going to go for this. And if you want to be a part of that, that's cool, and we can kind of share dreams and things like this, but this is my passion, my goal, this is what I want to be a part of. And then you be all about your passion. And then be doing that, focused on that in a relationship. Have you ever tried that?
I mean, I don't know. I've always gotten into a little bit of everything. I've never really. Sorry. I'm never sitting idle. I'm always
God damn,
doing
dude,
something.
drink some coffee. You're fucking yawning on the podcast, acting like this is the last thing you want to be doing in the world.
I'm just, I work quite a bit, man. I'm nice and worn out.
We all work quite a bit, Dave.
No, you don't.
Yeah, we do.
Everybody
out here works over 40 hours a week. You could if you wanted to.
No, I couldn't.
You're not sleeping in the middle of the workday because you don't know how to delegate.
Yeah, we got the highest quality, most revenue, most satisfaction, highest satisfaction in all of them right now. So delegating pretty fancy.
Your delegation is fancy?
Not bad. Got a good culture set up where people care. They work hard. You just get it by caring about your guys and, knowing the balance between, like, having respect for them and them having respect for you and knowing when to pull and when to give. And, it eventually gets to a spot where everybody just works their ass off and we get it done.
Well, see, why don't you have that same philosophy and move that towards your relationship?
I do.
You do?
I don't know. I just need to be a millionaire. That's all I need. Fuck it.
So
I'm sure I'll get some fucking.
So if you make a lot of money and become a millionaire, That's gonna eliminate problems.
Yeah, because then I'll get somebody who wants to love me just because I have money and they want to have a good life and live and have that money.
So the plan is become a millionaire so that you get with somebody who wants to love you just because you have money and wants to live a good life.
I mean, if that's what it boils down to, that's what has to happen. I mean, fuck it. I'm sick of the real shit. Not working.
Sick of the real shit. It's not working. You're sick of looking for love. You're sick of trying to find the fairy tale out there.
Yeah, I just want to buy it. And buy everything else.
That's the thing. Like, is it true? Like, are men more into the fairy tale than fucking women are? You'd think women would be because of the Cinderella stories and the Disney everything that they're fed as a kid and stuff. But is it backwards? Is it men who are actually more that believe more in this fairy tale than women?
Maybe some of them do.
You think? What do you think the fairy tale is?
Yeah, I'm sure there's all different kinds of people, man. Some of them, the guys want the fairy tale and the beautiful wife and family and, good job and careers and respect and loyalty and love and white picket fence and a cool dog and fucking successful children and, some guys want that, some girls want that. Some people just want to fucking use somebody,
Wow, that was pretty dark, Dave. Some people want the white picket fence. Some people just want to use you. Sounds like the fucking Eurythmics song. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you.
Please don't sing.
You awake now?
No.
Did my beautiful singing voice wake you up?
I mean, we've already hit the hour mark. I think we, kind of running low.
You're running low because we've hit the hour mark. That's all you had in the tank tonight was the hour. I set it up for 2 hours, baby. We're going fucking hardcore.
I'm not making it 2 hours, you fucking psycho.
Fuck you, Dave. You know what, Dave? Shut the fuck up. I'm tired of your bullshit. You know, on this phone acting all sad. You got what? I gotta work in the morning, too.
Friday, Saturday, probably Sunday.
Yeah.
Life of a boss, homie.
Keep chasing that dangling carrot, buddy.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a bite of that bitch.
Mm-hmm. One of these days, you might catch him slipping. You might eat that shit.
Oh shit! He bit the carrot. Damn.
Fuck.
Guess we gotta give it to him now.
That's the way it works.
I don't know if that's out.
Well, I don't know, Dave. You want to call it?
Yeah, we can call it.
We can call it?
Yeah, we got next week.
There's always next week.
There's always next week.
This is our 22nd episode. That's pretty impressive.
Dang, we should be at like 27, though.
Yeah, we've missed quite a few. But, things happen. We have life. We don't get paid for this shit.
Right.
All right. Well, hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in once again to a successful Dapper Baboon show where we talked about the horrors of women. And I say,
thank you for our caller. Thank you, Joe. It's always nice to talk to you, bud.
Joe's the shit. Joe's the shit, but Joe just randomly drops off in the middle of talking sometimes. It's very, very strange. I feel like he's got like a wife or something that doesn't like him calling into radio shows, and she like fucking grabs his phone and breaks it every week, and he's got to buy a new phone.
Or maybe his battery just went dead on his cell phone.
Well, yeah, or his battery went dead on his cell phone, but I like my story better.
Yep.
All right, man.
As always, Bo.
Well, hey, man,
I love you.
You get that money. Oh, I love you too, Dave.
Hope you have a positive week where you do a lot of fun shit.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to do all the fun shit. All right, well, everybody, you all have a great week. And we'll see you next Thursday. Peace.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,